All right, so in this video, we're going to learn about Git branching, which is a feature that I didn't actually use for probably the first 2 years that I was using Git pretty regularly. And it's something that's often brought up in the context of collaboration. You want to use branches when you are making pull requests to other repos. We're going to talk about what that means in a later video. But I think branches can be really powerful even if you're just using Git on your own local system. And what a branch is it's just a separate commit history that you can switch back and forth between. So I'm going to show you how that works. So when you start an initial Git repo, typically you only have the one branch. And if you can type git branch and see what that looks like. Here you can see the branch we have is main. And the little star there next to it means that's the branch that we currently have checked out, that we're currently pointing to in our repository. So if I want to make a new branch, there's a couple of ways I can do that. One way is I can say git branch and give it a name. So let's say git branch tutorial test. Okay. Now that makes the tutorial test branch, but it doesn't actually check it out. In other words, you can see here I've got this little terminal prompt helper that shows where we're at. But if I say git branch now, you can see we've got these two branches, but I'm still checked out the main branch. So if I want to check out tutorial test, I can say git checkout tutorial test. Now I'm on the tutorial test branch. If I say git branch, you can see now the little star is next to that tutorial test branch. A lot of times when we're making a new branch, we want to also check it out at the same time. So I'm going to switch back to main, check out main. And I'm going to delete that previous branch just because I want to show you making it again. If we say, if we try this next method and the branch already exists, it won't let us do it. But I'll do tutorial test to delete that branch. And then I'll say now git checkout, checkout tutorial test. And if I do this, it won't work because it doesn't match any branch because I deleted it. But what I can do is I can add this little flag -b. So what that says is create the branch tutorial test and check it out. So I'm going to do that. Now, we haven't actually committed anything on any of these branches, right? We've just been making and deleting branches. If we look over here at our GUI, I'm going to refresh. Now you can see I've got these two different branches. They're showing up. They're both pointing to the same exact commit. They're both at the same place. And it's green here because that's the one I've checked out. If I say, if I come over here and say, check out main, now we can see main is green. So I'm going to come and check out tutorial test. Check out tutorial test. Okay. So now I'm checked out tutorial test and I'm going to make some change. If you recall from the last video, or if you haven't seen it, on the left here, I have a graphical user interface for looking at Git called GiddyUp. Here, I've got the terminal that I'm going to use to do Git commands. I've got a file explorer, and I've got a terminal that I'm going to do my text editing in. Don't worry if you don't use a terminal text editor. That's totally fine. I'm going to use NeoVim here. So let me just make a quick change to my script. Actually, let me go change the README because I realized I didn't actually update the README here. File 3.txt, file 4.txt. So I want to list all the files that I have in the repository in my README so you can come look and see. And then I'm going to come up to the terminal here. You can see there's a change now. Here I've added a couple of new files. Let's just do it from here. I'm going to add that. I'm going to say add file 3 and 4 to README. And I'm going to commit it. So now what you'll see is main is still pointing here to the commit that it was before. And tutorial test now has a new commit. If I go and I git checkout main, what we're going to see is that the README shifts back to the previous state. Right? So the changes that I made are still saved. They're still present in the Git repository. They're just on a different branch. So now I've checked out main over here. Let me refresh so we can see green is the branch I've checked out. And the file, the state of this folder is now reflective of main. Let's say I make a change here. So now let's say, so instead of listing all of these files here, I'm going to use a function os.listdir, and I'm going to do for the current thing, and I need to import the OS module. So what this is going to do is it's going to list all of the files in the directory, and so now I want to check if f.ends with txt and colon, indent that, make sure that it works. Okay, so it works. So now we've updated this to use the listdir function instead of actually manually listing out all those files. So now I'm going to commit this. Again, we're back on the main branch. And so I'm going to say git commit -am. So what this does is it will commit any previously tracked files. In the last video, we talked about adding to stage a file. In this case, because we've already tracked the script.py, we can use am to stage and commit at the same time anything that was previously tracked. So use OS module instead. Enter. All right, so now I've committed that to main. And so what you'll see over here, again, let's refresh. So now I've got this change to the README, and I've got this change to the main branch, and they're on separate branches, separate commit histories. Both of these commits, the one on the main branch and the one on the tutorial test branch, both of them point to their parent as being this this previous commit that we started the video with. So this is basically allowing two separate streams of work to happen. Now, let's say I want to combine them. In this case, I want to say, oh, I definitely want this change from tutorial test to be back on my main branch. What I can do is I can say from the main branch, when I've checked out the main branch, I can say git merge tutorial test. And what that's going to do is it's going to take this change here and add it to this and make a new commit. There's a couple of different ways to merge branches that we'll talk about in a future video, but for now we're just going to do a straightforward merge. So when I do that, you'll see it brings up a text editor. It asks me to give it a commit message, and I'll say merge from branch, from test branch. You should really use informative commit messages, but ignore me for a moment. Okay, so now I've done that, and say git status. You can see I'm still on branch main. I've got nothing to commit. So here, now you can see we've made a new merge commit that's pointing to both the previous commit on main and this commit that was on the tutorial test branch. Now, I could continue to make commits on the test branch. So if I git checkout tutorial test, it goes back to before I had merged them together. So I don't have this change to this Python file, but I could continue to make commits here. Typically not a good idea. Once you've merged a branch, you often want to start a new branch directly from main, but in principle, you could do it. The branch is still there. So what this allows you to do is have different work streams, different things that you are working on at any given time. And the reason that this can be really powerful is because often you'll get some code to a state where it kind of works. It does something that you want it to do, makes a figure, does some kind of analysis, and you have a result. But you want to go back and you want to change it. You want to rename some stuff, refactor it, or you want to tweak a figure. But you want to be able to get back to a working state really easily. If you use branches, you can have a working state in your main directory. You can check out a new branch and be working on that. And even if you don't finish it, if you need to go back to a working state, you can always get back to the main branch where you know it's a working state. So this is a typical thing to do in software development. You keep the main branch as being functional, and you can work on tweak things in a separate branch, or as many separate branches as you want, and sort of keep it all straight. So that's a really brief introduction to branching. This becomes much more powerful when you're doing collaboration, you're working with other people that might have their own changes on their local repos, and you want to make sure you're not conflicting. But I think it can be really powerful even when you're working on your own. So hopefully that's helpful. In the next video, we're going to talk about something that often comes up when you are working in multiple branches and you're trying to merge things, or even if you're just using GitHub, you have one main branch, but things come from different locations. which is merge conflicts. So that's going to be real fun. It's everybody's nightmare when it comes to Git, but we'll walk through it. It's really not as bad as it seems. It's what Git is built to handle. So I'll see you in the next one.